Welcome to More Than Dentistry, where your hosts Evert and Waldo discuss life, dentistry, and everything in between with dentists around the world.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of the More Than Dentistry podcast. The idea of the podcast is to have a South African flavor to it, and we want to interview South African or international dentists, but focus on the South African young dentists, up-and-coming dentists, and give them some tips and advice. My name is Evert Burger.
And I'm Waldo Engelbrecht.
We're both dentists in the Eastern Cape. I'm from Jeffreys Bay.
And I'm from Port Elizabeth.
And just a quick little background about ourselves. We're both general dentists.
Yes.
We both have a love for implants and CEREC work. So we'll probably talk about that quite a lot. I think both of us try and do quite advanced dentistry in private practice.
Yes. But also the basic stuff. I think when we do the basic stuff, we try and do it as good as possibly can.
Right. So I think the idea of the podcast will be to interview people around the world,
Yes.
South Africans mostly. And we want to get the listeners to tell us who they're interested in hearing.
Yeah.
The idea is to interview, Waldo is going to probably interview me for the first or the second episode. This is like the introductory episode. The second episode, Waldo will interview me.
Yes.
And then the third episode, I'll interview Waldo. And then we'll get to know each other and you guys will get to know us and see what we're all about.
So, Evert, who would you like to interview first?
If you know me at all, I'm a composite guy. I love doing composites. So my number one guy to interview will probably be Monarch Vasant. I attended his composite course. He's from the UK. For those who doesn't know him, check him out on Instagram. I went to Dubai to his composite course, and he's really just a top-notch guy. He's really one of those guys you can sit and have a beer with and have a conversation with, and you actually can learn a lot from him. And what I like about him is he does basic dentistry on a next level.
Okay.
And I think that's the kind of work the listeners hopefully will be out there who's keen on doing. It's a lot of aesthetic work,
Yes.
but it's not a high cost. It's really nice work on a cheaper level. So that's the kind of work all of us could be doing in our practice tomorrow. What I liked about him on the course we did was he just made everything super basic, and he's just an all-around nice guy. So that'll be my top guy to interview. And you, what about you?
I'd like to interview someone like Howard Glackman, everybody well-established
Obviously.
specialist in South Africa. I would like to know, not just everybody knows he's a good periodontist, but I'd like to know what's his interests out of dentistry.
Yeah, I actually saw he bought himself a bike the other day, a BMW. Did you see that bike?
Yeah.
Like a BMW, I'm not sure the name, but it's like a cafe racer.
Okay.
So maybe we can get him to talk about the cafe racer and less about
and
implants.
I think all the guys that I would like to have a conversation with is not just the good things in life, but also the hardships and the things that actually make you come out at the top at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think that's what makes Howard special, is he always shows his mistakes and
Yes.
what he does wrong. And that's how you learn. So I think we've had a lot to I've spoken to Howard quite a lot. I actually met my wife at one of his courses.
Yes.
And that's the cool thing about Howard. He's also like a really down-to-earth guy, even though he's one of the best in the world, I think.
Yes.
He's super down-to-earth. He's happy to talk about his mistakes. And I think, he's probably the biggest export in South African dentistry.
Yeah.
So it'll be stupid
Yeah,
not to get
and
him.
he's just got his PhD.
From where did he get it from? I'm not even sure, but well done, Howie. Congratulations on that.
Congratulations.
So we'll talk about that as well.
Yeah.
Okay, the next guy on my list, I think to bring it back and make it a little bit more local again and down to earth, Mark Bowes. He's
Yes.
obviously one of the
Aesthetic
main
guy.
aesthetic guys in South Africa, and I think everyone knows Mark.
Yes.
So I've spoken to him already, and he's very keen to get interviewed. Who else have you got?
I think I'd like to interview Ernst from Algoa Dental Lab, just because he's got a very interesting way of doing business. He always challenges himself,
Yeah.
and he likes to give the dentist also some info as to how to communicate with the lab.
For those who don't know, Algoa is our local lab in Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
And Ernst is a very progressive guy.
Yeah.
He's very entrepreneurial. He's started many businesses and failed in many businesses. So he's the kind of guy you can learn from a lot.
Yes.
And he's actually good friends with all of us. So we'll definitely interview him. And that's another thing I always tell young dentists is if you want to learn something, go to a lab. Because there you
Yes.
see everything.
Yes.
If you're going to spend a day in a lab, you're going to see all the crap that comes in, all the good things that come
Yes.
in. So a guy like Ernst, I always tell him, go sit with Ernst, go see what comes in and what he wants. There you'll learn a lot. You're not going to learn a lot sitting by yourself waiting for patients or waiting
No.
for the paint to dry in your practice.
Yeah.
If you have time, go to a guy like Ernst or go to any dentist, but a lab you're going to learn so much more because you're going to see 20 guys work, not just one.
Yes.
So we'll get Ernst in definitely. For you that don't know, maybe go look up Algoa Dental. They're on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
They're not that active, but you can see some of their stuff. Right, and then another guy that I would like to interview is probably Floy van der Rooyen.
Yes.
Algoa Dental. They're on Facebook and Instagram.
Yes.
They're not that active, but you can see some of their stuff.
Yeah.
Right, and then another guy that I would like to interview is probably Floy van der Rooyen.
Yes. Definitely.
For you who don't know Floy, he's a dentist in Cape Town. He's also a normal GP dentist, but he's big into implants and big into CEREC, so it's everything we like.
Yeah, very digital dentistry.
Yeah, it's really. He also started a thing called, what is it?
A GP store.
GP Star. So we can check that out as well. You'll tell us about GP Star, I
Yes.
think, in detail.
Yeah.
Have they had the launch, or is it still about to get launched?
I think it will be launched now in July.
Okay. So that's the thing to check out. I think the idea of GP Star is to help GP dentists
Yes.
evolve and
Yeah.
get better. So Floy van der Rooyen from Cape Town will definitely be one of the guys we're going to interview. Who else have you got?
The celebrities, they're the TV dentists. Like JJ Fontaine
And Zak.
and Zak. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, so that's two Cape Town dentists as well. Everyone probably knows who they are.
Yes.
I think JJ is big into CEREC as well, so we'll talk
Yes.
CEREC to him. And Zak, if you can find him not traveling the world, sitting in fancy hotels, he'll probably tell us about facial injections and Botox and fillers.
Yes.
But also two very nice guys that I've met a few times. Yeah, it'll be interesting to hear from them. Just to go abroad again, Jamil Gardi, do you know who he is?
No.
Yeah, he's one of the main DSD guys.
Is he the one that with the on the DSD the stuff that you can get on the mock-ups on the left?
No. That's Jan Aitu, you think?
Yeah, I do.
Jamil is a guy in Scotland. He's actually South African originally.
Okay.
Well, he's parents South African. He's a guy in Scotland in Glasgow, and
Yeah.
he does next level work, and he's a really nice guy. I met him on Instagram, and then we started talking, and then I met him in Joburg for the first time in December, and we've been talking quite a bit online, and he's really a top guy. So check him out on Instagram. He does amazing work, and he's one of those guys. If you've got a problem, you just hit him up, and he's always got advice. And so I'll definitely want to talk to him. He's really with, as far as DSD is concerned, he's probably the top guy I know or can get hold of. And you, anyone else more local?
Well, maybe a little bit international. I'd like to talk to a fitness guy, David Hippensteel. He's actually a dentist. I don't know if he's retired yet, but he's a 60-plus CrossFit athlete.
Okay.
Which, just...
I wonder how long it's going to take to start talking about CrossFit.
Well,
if you're
it's
talking to a
been now
CrossFit
10
guy,
minutes.
10 minutes we're into CrossFit.
I think we've done quite well.
We did.
And then I'd like to the Zivs, Ziv Mazur and Ziv Simon.
Okay.
I'd like to have a chat with both of them. They're good.
Just tell us about them.
Ziv Mazur is from Israel. A very lot of implants and a very progressive and implant scene.
Okay.
And Ziv Simon has a YouTube channel, and I think also like a mentorship type of thing which is called Surgical Master.
Okay.
And I've watched quite a few of his clips, and very, very nice to, if you need to do a procedure and you want some tips before you do it, or you're struggling with sutures, he's got
Just go online and check it out.
Go and check it out.
And then the first patient you see is your mother-in-law, and then you practice on her, and then you can get a real patient. Okay, cool. And I think just to bring it even more local, the guys I've got on my list is Davie Slebush.
Yes.
Most people probably won't know Davie. He's a Eastern Cape boy as well, and he's he's probably my first mentor that I've ever met. And just to get onto mentorship, I think that's why we're doing this. Is
Yes.
everything I know, I learned from guys like Darby
Yes.
and guys like Jamil or whatever. And so there's so many mentors out there that you can just tap into. And I think that's what we want to do is meet more mentors and introduce more mentors to South African dentists. But Darby, just to give a bit of background on him, Darby is probably the most intelligent person I've ever met. Except for my wife, obviously. He's the second most intelligent person. And I always tell him that if I've got a problem, I phone up Darby, and he's got so much advice. It's a joke. When I first started doing implants, Darby came down from his London, brought all his implant stuff. Sure. He placed the implants basically for me, held my hand while I was doing it, and let me keep all the money. He's one of those guys that just goes out of his way to help people. And if you can find a guy like Darby, you need to latch onto him and learn from him. Because I've learned so much from him. And now we're big friends, and whenever we're in East London, we go visit him. So he's a guy we need to speak to.
Yes.
If you don't know Darby, he's a big character and let's say, super intelligent guy, and we'll get him on very quickly, I think. Have you got anyone else that you want to talk to us?
Gijs de Necker and Brian Birchall.
Yeah.
I think in a sense of they're also trying to do something else with their practices now.
Yeah.
That would be nice just to talk to them maybe about how to gear your practice and...
Yeah, so Brian is basically doing an MBA at the moment.
Yes.
And he's
trying... He's in George, eh?
Yeah, he's in George, and he's part of the Nakker Dentistry
Yes.
group, so most people know Gijs probably.
Yes.
And the cool thing about Gijs and them, they're very into TMD and also CEREC rehabs and stuff.
Yes.
I sat next to Gijs at a golf day the other day, and at the Nakker Dentistry, I had like a golf day, and we had a lucky conversation.
Did you hit a couple of balls?
I missed a couple of balls. I'm not a big golfer. After the 8th hole, I was like, freaking hell, when's the thing going to end? It's ridiculous. It's the longest day of my life. But anyways, also very nice to talk to, and Brian knows a lot about multiple practices that I think a lot of people goes out and want to have 10 practices, and then they realize how difficult it is to run one. So it'll be interesting to talk to them about that. So yeah, that's two nice local guys we'll definitely interview. And then I've also got Jonathan the Toy.
Yes.
He's busy he's a registrar at Tux still, I think. Perio.
Yeah.
Yeah. He knows a lot about a lot that I don't know. He's very academic.
Yeah.
So all the things that I'm not really interested in, he writes up a lot of papers for Howard, I think.
Yes.
So
yeah, he's one of the forerunners in the partial extraction therapy.
Yeah. So it'll be cool to talk to him. I think partial extraction therapy is a good thing to touch on, even though it's not a basic thing.
Yes.
It's a cool thing to talk about, and Howard and Jonathan, between the two of them, will get a lot of information.
Yes.
Cool. Then I've also got Cornay Smith from Cape Town. She's a female dentist that she's doing the bridge program, I think. I think she's
for Iverdent, eh?
Sorry?
That's in conjunction with Iverdent?
With Iverdent, yeah. So Cornay is also a very progressive thinker in private practice and a very cool chick, and she knows a lot about a lot, so I think we should talk to her.
Our listeners should just hit us up on when we have an Instagram and a Facebook to tell us who they like to have us interview.
Yeah, if there's anyone specific, let us know.
Yes.
My Instagram is Dr. Evert Burger.
I think mine is just waldo.engelbrecht.
Yeah, so if you've got a name, just drop us a message there and we'll try and get hold of them. There's obviously a lot of guys. I've got Howard Ferran on here as well from what's his podcast?
Dentistry
Uncensored. It's obviously one of the podcasts I listen to a lot.
Yes, and he's got like over 1,000 episodes.
Yeah, he basically has one every day. Yeah, so he's for 3 years he's been doing it every day, and so it's about 1,000 episodes. And it's super interesting to listen to them. And I think that's where we got the idea to do our own one, because we've got all these American podcasts, but nothing is really relevant to us. I haven't really found any in the UK, any dental podcasts that I really was
For how
drawn
long
to.
have you listened to general podcasts?
And there's a lot of great dentists out there, and to bring the two parties together, I think will be good.
How long have you listened to general podcasts?
Since 2016, I've listened to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah.
A lot of dentistry stuff, but also a lot of general in general. I like Rich Roll. I don't know if you've seen him. He's like a endurance athlete and vegan.
Yeah, so we've been listening to podcasts for quite a while. I actually don't even listen to radio in my car anymore.
Yeah, that's true. It's such a waste of time. You can listen to whatever you want to
Yes.
on podcasts. So I love just switching on to whatever. And
I think the reason why we want to do something like this is just to give the young guys something to also to have a mentor, a digital mentor at this stage, and to listen to interesting guys that we would like to hear a little bit more about.
Yeah, from my side, I think the first reason is a bit selfish. If you've got a podcast, you can interview people and they might listen to you and talk to you. So from my own point of view, it's going to be a bit selfish to learn from these guys.
This is Kevin Hart, Rob Johnson.
And then secondly, I think there's a lot of South African young dentists who are really in need of a little bit of mentorship.
Yes.
And there's a lot of great dentists out there, and to bring the two parties together, I think will be good. So I think this is a great tool for that.
I don't know how many dentists graduate now yearly, but it must be a hell of a lot more than it was, let's say, 10, 20 years ago.
Yeah, for sure.
And
there's also a lot of guys retiring.
Yes.
So I think there's a big change of guards at older guys getting rid of their practices, younger guys needing to buy practices. And so it'll be nice to kind of like dig into that as well and see what's the changeover from practice ownership. You've got a lot of experience in that, actually. We'll talk about that in the next podcast. I'm going to interview you, or you're going to interview me, and we'll learn more about our history and where we've come from. But I think the main reason for the podcast is for us to have fun, to talk to cool dentists and cool people out there, and meet the younger dentists. I think we should get some younger guys on there as well, and ask them their questions. I was just in Durban last week, and I spoke to a lot of young dentists, and it's amazing how hungry they are for knowledge. And I think it's very exciting to be in dentistry at the moment, especially all the digital stuff and stuff like podcasting. So I think we can explore all of those avenues and have some fun.
Yeah, I think people are going to have a learning curve that's going to be much quicker if you listen to stuff like this. Than battling through cases, years and years of problems. And then trying to figure it out for yourself.
I think when I started seeing that other guys struggle with the same stuff as I do, and then the world kind of opened up to me, I kind of realized that dentistry doesn't have to be like this hard work, and you can have fun and you can do fun things. And what I found is I started posting a lot of my cases in about 2016. What I found the most is when people respond to the work you do and they tell you, wow, you did great work, it's actually quite nice, because you get double the rewards. Firstly, the patient's super happy and impressed, and then secondly, your peers are happy, or they're happy, or they're impressed with what you did or whatever. And then you kind of get proud of your work, and then you do your work better. So I think the whole digital thing where dentistry is going with Instagram and Facebook is really exciting, and it opens up a lot of things for us to explore, and podcasting as well. So I think the idea of this is to kind of wrap it up with a South African flavor.
With a great accent. South African accent.
Sexy accent. Then if we got 10 listeners from South Africa, that's more than enough for me. I'm not really going to worry too much about the numbers we're getting. But I think having fun, talking to a friend about dentistry is one of the fun things. So I think that's the idea of the whole podcast, and hopefully we won't disappoint you guys.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thanks for listening to the first episode. Next time, Valdo, you're going to interview me first.
Yes.
Okay. So the second episode, Valdo will interview me, and you'll get to learn a little bit more about me. All right. Thanks for listening.